Thanks to Greenworks, Australia's ultimate battery-powered garden brand. You can get them all out there. The mower, more fun from the backyard to the great outdoors. It's Australia's ultimate battery-powered garden brand. Let's talk about the round ahead. And so far, we're one game in last night at TIO Stadium in Darwin. 12,000 went there for 16-8, 104. Gold Coast defeated a very gallant Hawthorne, 15-6, 96. 8 points was the final margin. 4 goals to Ben Long, 3 goals to Watson, Hardwick and Chol for the Hawks. Good game of footy. Paul Hasleby, thoughts?
Are they all Australians? Ben Long, 4 goals. He's now got 19 goals as one of the best small forwards in the competition. I want to throw John Noble towards you as well. He's got to be included in the All-Australian team right now. He had the 36 disposals. He's averaging above 26. He had 1,000 metres gained. 1,001 metres gained last night. He was unbelievable. But putting together a good season. You know, the toughest position to fill this year will be the defensive or the running half-back position. You've got so many inclusions that could be in there. You've got Wanganeen, Millera, you've got Sinclair, Lockie Ash, Whitfield, and I think John Noble has to be included. Are you a believer, Tim, in the Gold Coast that they could go from outside the 8 to winning the premiership?
No, they can't win the flag.
Can't win the premiership?
No way.
Can they win the premiership in the next 2 years?
Yes, they can. But just one thing you got to remember. The grand finals played the MCG.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
And they're very good at home and they're very good in Darwin, we know that. But Rao, Anderson, Miller, King, Long, I know he's not in great form, McAndrew, Rioli, Noble, Witts, they've got enough players that are sort of A-grade material, and their kids are good too. Humphrey, Hewlin, Closey, Walter, big mark last night, still Leo Lombard to come back into this team as well. There's a lot to like. I think they're going to build a significant period if they can keep all the players together, and Matt Rao is key to that. When he's on song, he makes such a big difference.
Jarman Impey, Gunston, Lloyd Meek didn't play last night for Hawthorne.
They're still good Hawks. Like, they lost the clearance by 15, but they still find a way. They had 59 inside 50s, so that's why I admire them. What about James Sicily and his career? He's having a pretty poor season, it must be said.
Where's he playing? Like, that's the problem. He's a backman. But last night, Battle looked done, shot, and they kept on, the coverage I watched, they were praising that work of Tom Barrass. I thought Barrass was beaten again several times. I mean, it was a nil-all draw, him and King. I don't know.
Does he look out of place, Tom Barrass, in that team?
He does.
He said it openly when he got there. He doesn't really know how to fit in. He just looks a bit different. He doesn't have the play-on ability like most of them. Yep. Hey, let's talk about the Wizard, Nick Watson.
Yeah, he kept them in it early. Even when they were trailing, and I thought, oh, gee, they're under pressure, they're going to get beat. He was the one. He was outstanding, and I thought Ginnivan was good too.
Yeah, he was very good. So this is what I love about Sam Mitchell. Out of form, drop him.
Yep.
Drop him.
Yep.
Straight away, go back.
Yep.
Kicks 4 goals, come back in, and he's been improved. I think Justin Longmuir could learn a fair bit from Sam Mitchell in relation to doing that. Pick number 5 was Nick Watson. Before him was McKercher and Dersma to the North Melbourne Football Club. Would they be ruining that decision?
Yeah. Yes.
And they've had a history of a few blunders, haven't they, the North Melbourne Football Club, with some of their early selections.
And tonight it is Sydney taking on Carlton, this game at the SCG. Marty and Laddams in for McLean and Patton. Pitnet, Boyd and Carroll come in for Cowan, Akers and De Koning. They're big outs, Akers and De Koning for Carlton.
And so important this game to the loser, particularly if it is the Sydney Swans. You'd say their season is done. They've been disappointing. Some challenges there for Dean Cox. Carlton love it contested, and you're going to get that at the SCG. Their 4-gun midfielders are all in pretty good form, including Cripps, Walsh. Hewitt's been enormous this year. Whilst he can turn the ball over on occasions, he's finding plenty of footy and he's been very good defensively. You get the feeling they're starting to roll, but they need to take another big scalp here at the SCG, which is never easy to do. Kerno, Mackay in good form. I'm going to go with the Blues to put an end to a disappointing season for the Swans.
No, I'm confident Sydney will bounce back. I was very confident the Suns would do the job last night. Who did you tip last night, Hawks or Suns?
Suns.
Yeah, nice work by you. All righty, let's go to Collingwood, and they get back some stars, don't they? Maynard, Myercheck and Pendlebury in for Moore, Schultz and Oleg Markov, and our man, Ed Allen, retains his spot in the lineup. No change at Adelaide at this stage.
This is a great round, isn't it? Tipping's very difficult.
Yep.
You could go either way here. I'm going to favour Collingwood because of the home ground advantage, and I saw them live last week. They were outstanding. They get those big names back. They just find a different way, and that's what I loved about them last week. Everything was against them, and 5-day break, all the stats that we spoke about early in the week against Fremantle, yet The only thing that mattered was their inside 50 connection, and that will hold them in good stead in this game. But they do have the firepower, the Adelaide Crows. They're going to need their big guns to stand up, but I'm going to stick with the home team here in the Pies.
Yes, Pies for me as well. Port Adelaide take on Geelong. This game at the Adelaide Oval. Willie Rioli, Logan Evans return for the Power. Farrell and McEntee go out. And Henry and Lawson Humphries return for Jai Clark and Closey, so some good ins for the Cats.
Yeah, Connor Rozee into that team has made a massive difference for Port Adelaide. They're a different proposition at home, but the Cats, they'd be smarting after losing last week on their home deck for the 5th time in a row against the Giants. Hey, Tim, Willie Rioli back in the team. What do you think they will do? The Geelong defenders that are around him, do you think there'll be any taunting going on in this game?
Yes, I do. I think there will be. Now, I know I saw yesterday on a podcast Will Schofield say that he'd be in their grill. They would be in his face 100%, and that's all okay. Let me ask you, having been there, done that, I have issues with that. I just think it's a cheap shot. I just don't think you need to do it. And they think, you get in his grill, he gets upset, and blah, blah, blah. What are your thoughts on doing it?
I think you're in his grill physically. He's a gun player, and he's so important to them, particularly at home. So you've got to try and nullify his effect. In terms of the words spoken, I'd be very careful with what I say. I still think there's room to have a joke, and there's some taunts. But given what's happened, I don't see the need. It might be one of those ones where you see how you go, and then if the game's on the line and you might be able to win a free kick and you get him off his game by some physical sort of, not abuse, but getting in his grill, then I think that might be something you do to try and initiate a reaction and get a free kick. But I wouldn't deliberately be going out there and saying anything in relation to what's happened in recent times.
Is it dangerous when you start to verbalise a player who is on the edge, and Willie is on the edge? You verbalise a player and you want to make sure what you're saying is not misconstrued.
Yeah, that's the key.
Or misheard.
Yeah. Because they'll be looking for it. The AFL will be looking at this game to see what was spoken.
And David Koch and Port Adelaide, everyone will be looking for how they can flip it, rightly or wrongly, to make sure Willie is protected.
I think in relation to comments about, here we go again, you're going to miss another week, that sort of stuff's okay. But anything to do, his weight, weight's going to be something that I think in the future players won't tolerate. They won't tolerate being abused because, we've seen it and they've come through junior systems, bullying, and school's been very different to when we went through, Goss. So I think that'll be the next thing the AFL potentially cracks down on. I don't fully agree with it, but I've seen where we have been and where we are now and where we're going in the future. I reckon there'll come a time when they'll clamp down on that.
Tipping?
Geelong with no confidence.
Fremantle take on GWS. Darcy Jones and Bedford in for Stringer injured, and Delano, who showed some good signs, but of course, pretty obviously lost his spot. He is an emergency. Bailey Banfield in for Sean Darcy. That's a surprise for me, Bailey Banfield. I think he's got a role to play. I'm not too sure. Paul wants to know which spare player travelled. The emergencies are McDonald, Aish and Reedy. Do we know? We'll check.
Was it Reedy?
We'll check.
But Banfield in, does he become the sub and Erasmus gets a full look at it, or is it the other way around? I get the feeling that Port Erasmus might be the sub again. This is a massive game for Fremantle. I've said publicly throughout the week, if they lose this one, I think it becomes very difficult for them to play finals footy. They would require 9 wins from their next 13, so they'd only have 4 chances where they lose those games. Big job through the midfield. Tom Green's in great form. Callahan's back to his very best as well. You've got to stop the halfbacks, and the half forwards haven't been going too well for the Dockers. Lockie Ash and Whitfield, we know they're big accumulators. I think Alex Pearce, Tim, just needs to go to Jesse Hogan.
Yep.
In the past, we've seen Brendan Cox get the match up, and it's just time for Justin Longman to say, no, Alex Pearce, he's your All-Australian potential fullback. Go and get the job done and get support from the others. Right now, he's the best forward in the competition. I'd like to see Erasmus get some more midfield time to see what he can do and maybe increase his value at the end of the year when he leaves the Fremantle Dockers. Last week, it was about their forward 50 conversion. They had 62 inside 50s for only 6 marks. They would have trained that all throughout the week. Lots of different scenarios to see if they can find better outcomes from those sort of numbers. It'd be nice if they get those sort of numbers again, but I can't see it happening against this midfield for the Giants. With those forward 50s, they just need to roll and play on and get the right connection. The defence of Fremantle needs to improve. They've been very disappointing, as we saw last week. Only 34 inside 50s, but so many shots for Collingwood. They need to lift. Big challenge here for Josh Tracy. He's going well, but he has had a few quiet games. Sam Taylor would be waiting for him. If it's not Sam Taylor, it's Jack Buckley, 2 very good defenders. And in recent times, the small forwards have done the job against the Dockers. So Darcy Jones, Toby Bradford, Toby Green as well could be the 3 that have a big impact in this game.
Tipping?
GWS.
Yeah, tough one. GWS only because of where it is. I can confirm that. Thank you to Paul, or thank you to with Paul's question, who travelled. They took 2, Reedy and Aish. They were both on the plane. So no Oscar McDonald. Alrighty, Bulldogs and Essendon. This one's at Marvel Stadium. This is tomorrow night. And we've only got a couple of minutes to get through these. Duray and Arthur Jones in for Gallagher and Poulter. Leverde in for Lewis Hase, who's out with them.
Favourite team right now, the Bulldogs. Are they the best team to watch for you, Tim?
Yeah, I enjoy watching them.
Yeah, I reckon they're the best. I'm traditionally haven't been a big fan of Luke Beveridge. Absolutely loving what he's done this year. And even O'Donnell is another one that's improved.
Yeah.
You look through their list, they've got 4 or 5 guys that have just gone to a new level.
Yep.
But, Tim, what if the Bombers win this one?
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
And they're in a rebuild, so it might not be about this year, but they're tracking in the right direction.
And defensively, they've been a lot better, so well done to Brad Scott. But I have to go with the Bulldogs. I think they're a contender this year.
Yeah, agree there wholeheartedly. Richmond, North Melbourne. So these are teams that we know where they're sitting. Jaden Short, Gray and Alger come in. McIntosh plays his 200th game, of course. Fisher, Dawson and Phillips are the ins for North Melbourne. No outs at this stage.
Improvement is coming for the Kangaroos. Better last week. Had their chances. Still don't know how to win. And that will be the challenge for the Tigers. If they can just hang around, be in this game, they know how to win. We've seen that. It's been fascinating to see a team that many expected not to win any get 3 wins. And in all the close games, they've found a way to win. You couldn't say that about North Melbourne, sorry. But I think North Melbourne are starting to make some inroads. You wouldn't want to be Alistair Clarkson if you lost this one.
Devon Robinson, Kitty Coleman, Gallup and McKenna in for Brisbane against, with Berry going out. Melksham, Laurie, Howes, Fullerton, Petty and Aidan Johnson in for Melbourne. Van Rooyen, Tholstrup and Jefferson the outs.
Too many average kicks for Nam or Melbourne that I've seen. And one that showed up throughout the week was Christian Petrarca. I think he's had 49 kicks inside 50. How many have been marked, Tim? How many would you expect to be marked from 49?
You'd want at least, inside 50, you'd want at least 70%.
He's had one.
What?
One that's been marked by his opponent. So then you add Jack Viney to that as well, Clayton Oliver.
You've been on Viney's case a while.
And you look and wonder, why can't this team sort of score? They get so many inside 50s, but that is the reason. They just have too many players that don't hit targets.
Brisbane win, don't they? Brisbane win easy, don't they?
Yeah, Brisbane to bounce back.
Alrighty, and then Sunday, you and I are going to be sitting alongside each other. Wellich, Marawa, York, of course, West Coast and St Kilda. The lineups to be confirmed: Allen, that's Oscar; Bo Allen, that's Bo; Clay Hall and Jack Williams. Archer Reid has been managed. McLennan, Mason Wood, Toby Travalia, Ari Schoonmaker and Harry Boyd in for Howard and Stocker.
McQualter keeps throwing the magnets around. I don't mind it. A big watch on Liam Ryan and Brockman as mids. It worked last week. Can it work full time? You've got Tim Kelly spending more time in the forward line. But last week, Tim, best return from clearance since 2019 against their opposition. So it worked, and it'd be nice if it works long term. I still have my doubts whether those 2 players can be that for West Coast. Harley Reid's building, isn't he? His last, 2 of his last 3 have been better, and all of a sudden I saw some bits of play where you go, okay, there is some of his power back and he's exploding a little bit more. So big watch on him as well. But the Saints have won their last 4 at Optus Stadium. Jack Higgins is the key. Yep. Who gets the matchup? Is it Cole? Does Hoff go back in defence? Got to shut him out. And it's going to be tough for Jake Waterman because Callum Wilkie is one of the best defenders in the competition. I think St Kilda, they just need to keep winning to keep their finals chances alive. And I don't think they'll drop this one, Tim. It'll be low scoring, though.
Who are you tipping?
I just said St Kilda. You like West Coast? You think they can win, but would you tip them?
It's a winnable game. Am I tipping them?
St Kilda is your team.
Yeah, but they're coached by Ross. West Coast. I just think they've done enough in the last month. Jonathan Vegas is going to take the first round lead into the clubhouse. He's just got a couple of putts to knock down to go 6 under. Cam Davis is 5 under. We'll take a break and come back and wrap it up. The new Tennessee barbecue range has arrived at Macca's, made with juicy 100% Aussie beef.